let's not glamorize it. It doesn't happen overnight. You need to get to know your body. And I don't think I've taken care of my body for a long, long time.
Most women haven't.
No. Very capable of taking care of, people in the
Everyone
workplace,
else.
family, everybody else, but not yourself.
It's like you've grown a foot. Your your
I'm
confidence,
up.
yeah, your confidence, your presence, and I've been to your events where you're hosting and presenting them, and from my perspective, it's been such a joy to see you from when I first met you to now what you're doing now is just phenomenal. Like the transformation really is very, very clear. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Body by Pieta. I'm Pieta, your host, and this is my amazing guest, Bryony. Bryony, I'm going to leave it up to her to introduce herself, but Bryony has been a treasured member of Body by Pieta for some years now. She's been through a variety of programs with me, including the 12-week one-to-one. She remains as a amazing VIP member. And we're here today to talk about her experience with working with me, her personal results that she's had. And yeah, we're just going to throw it over to you, Bryony. Welcome. Tell us a little bit about you.
Thank you. So I'm Bryony Williams. I'm the founder of The Glass Female, which is a high performance coaching and HR consultancy, predominantly for tech businesses. But I'm also a mum of one. I own a cat, a husband, and yeah, I'm a loyal member of Body by Pieta.
I've got one of them.
The husband in the background, yeah.
Floating
I've got
around.
one next door. I can hear him chit-chatting on the
Oh, listen, well, I'm so pleased that you're here. Tell us a little bit about, before you worked with me, how were you feeling? What were your struggles? What was going on at the time?
Gosh, okay, so perfect storm, pandemic, pregnant, finishing my master's, and then had my baby. And he was, let's say, a long, heavy baby. And at the time, we had a really low car, had a snazzy sports car, and I getting him in and out of the car was quite a challenge. So I had quite bad back problems. I think I'd also had a perfect image of birth in my head. So it was a bit traumatic when it ended up with a C-section, and there was absolutely nothing wrong with how it ended up. Actually, on all accounts, it was quite a good birth, but I think all those expectations, not having gone through it before, there was quite a lot tied up in that for me. So a little bit of trauma in there. And it was pandemic, so I was quite lonely as a mum.
Mm.
I really kind of, you get on with it, but you're kind of figuring it out every day, and I felt really quite lonely in those early days. And it's only really now that I can talk about it and be comfortable with saying how lonely I was.
Mm.
And then kind of knew about you before I had my small sprog, long slash heavy sprog. But then I came back and said, okay, I think I need some help. And I knew I needed help, but I wasn't really sure, maybe this will help me bounce back to my pre-baby weight or some stupid narrative that I was telling myself at the time. And then obviously a whole different thing happened.
And well, I mean, I remember when you and I first met, and I mean, the transition that you have gone. I mean, anyone who's watching, listening, really, I can't even tell you the blossoming and the growth of what you've managed to achieve, not only just in your personal, obviously your personal results, but the confidence and then how that ripple effect then went on for you to start your own business and what you're doing now. I mean, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. What were your reservations before you decided to commit?
All the normal reservations, like I've never stuck to anything. I've always been a yo-yo dieter. I'll do something for a little while, then it'll drop off, and typically beat myself up over not finishing something. I also like to have a little beverage every now and then on the weekend. And so I think I was a half-hearted, let's see if it works, with a bit of doubt in the background. But also I was really low on confidence at that point in my life. So I didn't have any confidence in myself, and I certainly didn't have any confidence in my body. So because my birth didn't end up as perfect as what I'd imagined it, and also because I hadn't quite figured out my identity as a mum or done any of the work. And if you know me now, then you'd be surprised by that because I do a lot of coaching and like, inner vocal work and all the rest of it. So back then I really just, I was a bit lost.
Mm,
And so I just kind of was like, well, this might help me exercise. Let's give it a try, see what happens. I didn't have a lot of self-belief. I didn't really believe in, well, maybe where it could take me.
mm,
And I certainly hadn't ever had, when I look back now and I think about my personal identity, I've always done some team sports, but I think I went to those team sports for the social aspect of it.
mm.
I've never had that education around how much it can change your life if you can build a new habit around strength, about knowing your body, about really getting to know yourself. And so it was a whole other new thing for me. And I credit some of that to becoming a mum because I was forced to get to know myself. When you have a child, it's like a mirror that shows you exactly who you are. But on top of that, I think, luckily I had a few friends around me that were already working with you that were like, look, come along, see what it's like. Yeah.
So you came through a referral because that
Yes.
was from Jane,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think what you've just said there will probably strike a chord with a lot of people, when they're concerned about signing up to anything, not just something that I'm doing, is will I actually stick to it this time? How am I going to make this work for me? I'm already
Yeah.
really busy. There's these reservations which can hold us back. But something made you step over the line. How, what other things had you tried before Body by Pieta? Had you tried other programs before?
Yes, I've tried different various apps,
Yeah.
various gym programs. I mean, the one place that I took my son when he was young was we went to I won't name the brand, but a gym slash health club, because it had a creche. So I would get that sort of 2 hours a day,
Yeah.
or an hour a day if he was willing to go in on that day. And I sometimes would just sit in the cafe and have a coffee. And other days I might go and do a workout. But back then, I actually see that as being quite damaging because I was doing classes that weren't personal to me.
Mm,
And when I say personal, in the early days, I didn't work one on one with you, but I think they're quite kind of go for it type classes, very high pace, high energy. And, my body was recovering. When you think about birth, it's like you dented the car bonnet and then I'm going to try and do a marathon or something stupid. And I hadn't really taken that into consideration. The other second part of it, I think, is mindset. And the mindset for me in the early days was like, let's get skinnier.
mm,
I grew up in the world of Heat magazine or Cosmo or whatever it was, like the Special K diet, like really unhealthy ways of getting into an outfit for a wedding or, to go out on a Friday night. I was very unhealthy with, well, I'll just have whatever I want for the next 3 days and then I'll be really good on Tuesday and Wednesday. It was very kind of up and down. There was no consistency, there was no habit building, there was no mindset around why am I doing this and
mm,
what do I need it for? And I think that's definitely that bigger shift for me was around actually this could really support all of your life decisions
mm,
or like, where you want to grow or what you want to do. And it'll make you feel good about yourself instead
mm.
of just like chasing after a slightly smaller pair of trousers. And I was talking about this yesterday to a couple of mums in the park. I was like, I've never changed my size fundamentally from a 10 to a 12. I've been a small 10, I've been a big 12. I've never gone outside of that.
Mm,
So it isn't about that for me anymore. It's about supporting my lifestyle. And
mm.
and look, no one's perfect. I do still fall off the wagon every now and then. And that's when I book in a Pieta call. Help! I've lost it.
SOS.
Yeah, yeah,
I love that. So tell me, you then decided to join me, and you initially started on our 6 week group challenges,
yeah.
and then you decided to sign up to the 12-week one-to-one. Tell me, what was it like for you?
So the best thing about that sort of 6 week group effort is the community effort, like nobody is in there telling you that you need to be on every day. And I think as women, we are fed,
Mm,
conditioned, programmed that narrative around all the things that we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be skinny after having a baby. We've lost too much weight. We should be more successful. We should be in the home. All these different things that we're constantly being battling. in your community that you've created is a very safe space. And I think in those early days, that's exactly what I needed. I was a bit lost, I was lonely, and it gave me a space to kind of show up and be vulnerable,
Mm.
and to share that I was finding it hard, and know that other people find it hard too sometimes, and to get that support. You know, even though it's online, you do very much get to know the members. I've now since then collaborated a lot with one of the other members and met up with a few of the other members in various capacities. So I think the community part to begin with was what kept me. And then over time, I started to see those physical changes, and it was the thing that I needed. And I think, especially when you're at home with kids, you know, you don't have the opportunity to get into town regularly or go out in the evening and do a Pilates class or whatever it is that you need to feel connected
Mm.
to other women and to know that you're not on your own.
Yeah.
That was I think in the early days, that was my biggest takeaway.
Mm. I mean, you've been with me for, 4 years and you're still going strong. And I am so proud of you. And like, let's talk a little bit about your 12-week results. So tell me about where you started and where you ended up.
Let's not glamorize it. It doesn't happen overnight. You need to get to know your body. And I don't think I've taken care of my body for a long, long time.
Most women haven't.
No. Very capable of taking care of, you know, people in the
Everyone
workplace,
else.
family, everybody else, but not yourself. Yeah, I mean, the results were running around on a beach in a bikini, feeling like I really don't care what anyone else thinks.
Yeah.
That's an enormous shift
Yeah.
from the age of probably 13 or 14. I've thought about what I look every single day. I've thought about what people think. I've thought about what I eat. I've beat myself up over what I eat every day. You know, I've had periods where I've not been healthy. I've had periods where I've maybe been a little bit more healthy, but I've not had that consistency. So this was quite the thing to just think, you know what? I'm strong. I'm a mum. I'm a business owner, and I'm gonna wear the damn bikini on the beach.
I'm gonna wear the damn bikini. I
Yeah.
love that. I don't care. I'm gonna wear it. That is probably one of the best results out of all of this was your confidence about how you saw yourself. It's like changing the lens.
Yeah.
I mean, you did also lose 117 centimeters all over. I just have to
But
say,
my body changed, right? Like, so
yeah.
it wasn't like, oh, okay, so I've lost some weight on my tummy. Like my body changed, like the aesthetic physique, whatever you want to call it.
Mm.
But it's the mindset piece for me was the biggest shift because I do mindset work. I coach people to, you know, perform and to be good at stuff, and to work well and to get, you know, level up what they're doing. And the reality is, unless you're embodying that from the inside, unless you're working on that strength from the inside, and that muscle, you've talked about it to me so many times, that muscle makes you feel stronger. But that feeling of strength then comes into your head. Your body knows before your brain. The lovely Elodie Levasseur said that on a podcast episode of mine recently. Like, you know, body is your vessel. It's the thing that carries you around, but it's also what gives you strength. And I cannot stress enough how much my mindset shifted from doing that one-to-one work. And I think also the extra stuff that you maybe don't see on the outside when you look at a one-to-one program, like the rapport that you build with you, like the support that you give to stick to it and to make it manageable too. So it wasn't like, okay, it's one to one for 12 weeks. You're going to work out every day, you're going to eat a lettuce leaf, and I'm going to be by your side. You know, it's not like that. It's about making something reasonable and realistic for me to be able to cope with it and to fit it in, to be accountable for it. And to stick to it and to make those small changes and to feel like it's a habit. And I certainly think now when I fall off the wagon, I know that getting back on is it's not a failure. It's like, come on, let's look after your body. Let's just get back into that habit.
You can have the best program on the planet,
Mm.
world, but if you don't have the right mindset or the accountability, it often will fall on its face.
And it is that tool, it is a toolkit, right? So like things keep changing for me. So something else happens in your life, physically speaking, and you're like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to ask Pieta. Help! The SOS call comes in. And that's part of, I think, why quite a lot of people stay with you because I've done programs before and they are the same program, whereas you keep learning
Mm,
and keep telling us new stuff and keep us on our toes, but also provide us with the tools that we need to cope with anything that's thrown at us. You are an extraordinary library of tools that most women need. And that part of what you do, it blows my mind, to be honest. Something I try to emulate in how I coach is like keep learning, because I think if you don't keep learning, obviously you do get a bit stagnant, you get a bit
yeah.
complacent, but it's also about everybody's different, right? It's finding the different things that you need for different people.
Mm.
Um, and it means that we don't have to do the work. You do it all for us, which is excellent.
I'm here for every step. All right, so Bryony, let's talk about your business because I think this is a big piece of the results summary. I think is really important to share. So when you and I first met, you mentioned about your confidence, and at the time, I believe you were working for a company in HR, and you were then had an inkling or an idea that you wanted to go out on your own. And tell me about that journey of your confidence shifting, and then here you are today doing what you're doing.
I just, I think maybe for a long, long time, I've always thought I'd love to run my own business because it looks sexy, doesn't it? Um, and then I had an opportunity to stop because we had a small baby at home, and I was like, I maybe I went back to work after like 9 months of him being born. At the time, we had family helping, and that kind of didn't quite work out because they live far away and everything else. So I stopped for a little while, and I was like, well, maybe I could just do a bit of consulting and see what happens. And that coincided with doing the work with you. And I started to meet other female business owners, which kind of maybe gave me a bit of confidence too. Sitting having lunch with someone, I was like, oh, like maybe I could help more women like do this, do like be more confident, use their voice, be more bold in the workplace. Because it was something that I struggled with very much so. Ultimately, we all need help being
Mm.
confident and being able to kind of carve our own path. And I'm often saying to them, what physical toolkit have you got? Like, what do you do to support yourself outside of work? Because it's a big part of that journey. And we spent 90,000 hours in a lifetime in work. And, that's a big chunk of our lives.
So, last parting words. If someone is listening and is sitting on the fence and not sure whether to work with me or not, what would you say to them?
Come and try it. Because ultimately, you'll know as soon as you start, you'll get to know Pieta. It is a super safe space, and that's one of the most wonderful things about the community that you've created. And I promise you that you will feel different, you'll speak different, you'll show up differently for yourself, not for anybody else, not for any other external noise that might be giving you that doubt or that lethargy or even just a meh feeling about yourself. If you want to feel good about yourself, you want to feel stronger, you want to feel more confident, this is the place to be.
Yeah. Community is insanely good. They're amazing,
Mm.
and you're a part of it as well. Thank you so much, Bryony, for
Thank you for having me.
sharing your story. It has been, you're an inspiration to us all. You really are. So thank you. And keep doing what you're doing. Thanks everyone for watching. If you've got any questions for Bryony or for myself, you can just write them in the comments below. And thanks for listening. See you soon.